Hello, friends. Welcome to the Ancient Health Podcast, where East meets West. I'm your host, Dr. Chris Motley, and I have a very special guest with me. We have mutual friends in the Florida area, Todd Shipman, who is a quantum energy enthusiast, but he's a researcher. He is an entrepreneur, and he basically dives deep into the whole realm of quantum energy. And I've had a lot of questions about this, and you're the man here to answer that. Thank you so much, Todd, for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Dr. Chris.
Well, okay. So I know that in the last few years, we're going to dive deep into this, that there is always a really cool talk to me, not only about energetic medicine, frequency medicine, but there is this idea, and I don't know if it's theory, but facts about so much research about quanta. And people say like quantum energy. And when we've done things before on the podcast, I couldn't say that I knew definitely everything about quantum energy. This is where you come in, my man. Um, Definitely. But could you first though? Let me back up. I'm getting ahead of myself, my man. Could you tell us about yourself though? I love hearing about you and like why you're so passionate about quantum energy and just the things you do in healthcare. Tell us about you.
Yeah, so I'm an enthusiast of all things alternative health. Whether you want to call it biohacking, which I kind of steer away from that term, but just functional wellness and whatever that ensues with, because that's what's so cool is we have so many people that have just so many health challenges and there's so many options and modalities out there that it's like trying to bridge people with these things because they're actively looking to be
Mm,
healthy, and it's very difficult to figure out. It's very overwhelming to figure out like what works, what's legitimate, or what even exists, because there's a lot of suppression out there with the FDA, and even trying to put
mm,
things on social media that if they don't like the word or the verbiage you use, they suppress it. And it's like when you have these people that are just looking, and I have that not even from personal experience, but family, my mom, my loved ones, my wife, like when trying to find things to make them feel better, it's difficult. So like that's where I get into this
mm,
this passion, I guess, of educating and being kind of just like a bridge for people to say like this is available, and when you do find things that are available, there's also really heavy science, and that can be overwhelming. So, that's
mm.
also where I like to come in, is to be able to understand and explain the science and then regurgitate it so that like my youngest children can understand it, or, my 72-year-old mom. And because they need to be able to utilize it and understand it, to get it. So that's kind of where my passion lies, and that's through all things. And the quantum energy stuff is something that I got into about 2015. I actually got into it to debunk it. And that's what also makes this is more like
Ooh.
enthusiasm for me, because I read about it and was like, oh, this is just absolutely fake. It's hogwash and it's a scam. And to preface that, the unfortunate part about anything quantum is that initially has a response of like woo woo or it's scamish, because there's a lot of unethical marketing out there where
Mm,
people are just diluting the word quantum. You have quantum stickers that block EMS, and the verbiage they use is false and not real.
mm,
And so that kind of puts a bad taste in people's mouths. And I totally understand that. And that's why, kind of like what we'll talk about today, I have a full understanding that the ball is always in our court to prove
mm,
everything, which
mm,
is what, again, that's what kind of goes on with the enthusiasm. So I started in about 2015 to debunk it. And I did, not that I even had heavy science because I wasn't capable of doing it back then, but what I was doing was these, which at the time I didn't really understand that everything is vibrations and frequencies. And I had this quantum necklace basically that was quantum charged, and it was holding all the micronutrient frequencies. And so I was a
wow.
monotonous eater, and I went and I did it right as good as I could at the time. So I waited, like I was a monotonous eater. I could eat the same thing every day, and I did that. And after
Mhm.
about whatever it was 30, 40 days at that time, I got a spectracell micronutrient test, and I saw I was deficient in stuff. So then I started wearing the necklace, ate the same thing. 40 days later, I retested, and everything was optimal. So then,
Wow.
okay, so I did it another 40 days, everything was optimal. I did another 40 days, everything was optimal. And then I took it away. I took the necklace away, and I waited about 40 days again. I went back and I had deficiencies again. So again, while this isn't like hard science, this was my first step to going, there's something here. And that's what
Yeah.
led me
Yeah.
into it and understanding, to being like open to it. And since then lots changed. And the thing with quantum is it's almost like us going back 500 years in history and trying to explain something to someone like, here's a cell phone, and you're going to be able to talk to someone from across the world instantly and see their face. And trying to explain that to someone from 500 years ago, they're going to be like, yeah, it's witchcraft. That doesn't work, right? So
Yeah.
that's kind of like the challenge we have here is like, what is quantum energy? Even though quantum energy has been around since existence,
Yeah.
it's something that's difficult to measure and we don't see it. Of course, we don't see cell phone frequencies either or microwaves, but they're there. And it kind of just brings into like the difficulty of people accepting it. And again, I'm totally here for it, and I have so much understanding for it because I was totally on that side of it. So
Yeah. And when you
that's how I
when you
got into
started,
all of this.
okay, you know what, man? I think we're kindred spirits. I don't say it lightly. Some of the books that I read for even for Chinese medicine, and I love Chinese medicine. I mean, but I've actually got books where people who are trying to disprove it, and it's not because you're trying to glorify something. It was like you try to take it from every angle, like because you hear things like according to, it's about chi, and they'll think about frequencies. And you're right, they do use the terms loosely in some ways, but I think if you really like go into it and start to research it, you see how the gravity of it, how strong it is, how important it is. So I'm glad that you've done the research, and now that you dove deep into it, when you started trying to disprove it, and you started to find these facts and figures, could you touch on the point of quantum energy? Like some people say, I don't even know what that actually means. So could you touch on that?
Yeah. Yeah. And if you stay this long, thank you for staying this long without us even explaining it yet. So, what
No.
quantum energy is, it's basically the energy behind the matter at a subatomic level. So,
Mm,
it is, again, it's not something that was invented by humans. It's just been around since existence, but it's basically a neutral energy. So, it's not positive and it's not negative energy either, but it's just neutralizing and it harmonizes. So, it does radiate out,
mm,
but so with that comes it's going to neutralize anything that is negative or harmful to us. And that's kind of like where the products will come in with like Lila Quantum and the quantum upgrade stuff is there are these products that are charged with pure quantum energy, which then kind of basically I'm going to step a little ahead of it, but it's like basically bubble wrapping yourself and protecting yourself from any type of external stressors, as well as many other things the products do. But that's what it's just a byproduct benefit of pure quantum energy is that it neutralizes harmful frequencies.
wow. So it has the ability to, so there's an energy, and Todd, correct me. I'm asking like where there's an energy that's behind matter, that its job in nature is to create harmonizing frequencies. It's trying to harmonize things to where things are staying in balance, basically.
Yeah, it's just neutralizing it. Yeah, it's just because again, it's not positive, negative. It's just it will neutralize anything. It overrides everything. So
Ah,
when you have anything again that's harmful, which is like what the base thing would be like EMFs or anything like it's going to just neutralize it. It doesn't mean it blocks it, but it neutralizes any negative things. And we have that with research. And later we can talk about how we can use it to like
okay,
neutralize
okay.
food that you're allergic to and stuff. So it's really wild and exciting to see how
Yeah.
far and when things are exposed to pure quantum energy, like what we see happen.
This is fascinating. Okay, so you had this energy that can basically neutralize, and you probably already explained it, but some people would say, well, what's the benefit of quantum energy? Like literally, what would it do to my body? Like, what are some of the benefits, or like how can it affect my physiology?
That's a great question, and that's very exciting because one thing is we still don't know everything, and
Mhm.
we rely because it wasn't something like Lila Quantum wasn't around like just as it's going to do this, this, and this, and this. Like that wasn't even the plan. It was mainly to start with because one thing I'm just going to start with to also preface that like the founder Philip was the global vice president of T-Mobile for a very long time, so he understands both ends of things, right? So he has
Mm,
the technology and the luxury of using technologies and you know uh, we'll go into that too again because it's like you and I can be having this conversation if it wasn't for technologies, if it wasn't for EMFs that are around, and it's kind of like how do we um, harmonize ourselves with this stuff. So how can we still benefit from it? People will love it's like I use AirPods, I have an Apple Watch, and again we couldn't be on having this conversation without the luxury of the technologies, but
yeah.
that's where the quantum energy comes in. So it's what we're seeing is it's constantly expanding where we're seeing the benefits. And we're again, we weren't into it's not like this is what it's going to do, but we're finding is we have a huge Telegram group of like 8, 9,000 people, and people are
Wow.
experimenting all the time on how oh this does this and this does this. And like, you might have one or two people get a benefit, and then more people try it. And when enough people have tried it and have the same effect, then we will put funding into research through third parties into what is the legitimacy of that. And we can kind of get into that too. But like really the base benefit, and even though this is probably only 5 or 10% of the focus of what Lila quantum products are, is that pure quantum energy was going to harmonize any harmful effects that EMS have on the body. And that's just one thing that it does. And that's 100%. That's everyone that's exposed to it. And the way we can quantify this right now is through biomarkers. So again, this
Mm,
is just one benefit we're seeing. But for example, like what we would do, Chris, is we'd put you kind of in a room when there's no EMFs, there's nothing
yeah,
exposed. We
yeah.
we would check your HRV. We can check heart rate. We can even check calcium channels. But really cool. And you can't do that so much in the United States. There's a few places in the United States where we can do live blood analysis. So we're actually seeing
Mhm.
your blood in real time. So we get all those markers down when you don't have any EMFs exposed to you. And then we'll bring a Wi-Fi router into that room, and then you're being exposed to EMFs, and we can see, even if you don't feel it, we can see how your biomarkers are affected. Your HRV drops, your heart rate goes up, your blood gets sticky, and we can see it like again in real time. So then we
That's
will bring in one of our products,
mm,
because all products that are charged with the pure quantum energy will do this. But then, 10 minutes later, we will test you again, and all of your biomarkers will be the same or better as they were pre-EMF exposure. So,
oh good.
um,
That's wow,
and this
amazing.
isn't something where we can say that, like, oh, 38% of the people got these results. It's 100%. And with these studies that we're doing, every test we're doing, again, because the ball's in our court to prove all this, is they are double blind, placebo controlled studies. We have over 70 studies now, I believe, of this with different things. So, like I said, that was one thing. That's the EMS. We're also seeing studies where we have a 29% increase in ATP production when you're having this exposed to you, basically. We see a 100% increase in wound healing, and that's fascinating.
That is
And again,
fascinating.
now, these are things that are really fascinating. Of course, they're just incredible how they work, but it's basically, if you think about it, I'm gonna step back, because why is this occurring also is, as I said before, it's like you're bubble wrapping yourself and protecting yourself from any type of like external factors, right? So our mitochondria, we have really resilient bodies. And it's like if we're around EMFs and we have all this stuff, like your body says, okay, I'm gonna budget this amount of percentage today to protect us from the EMFs, maybe some mold or any autoimmune we're dealing with, and it knows where it's going, right? So, but it's budging it, and you keep stacking things on, it can't do things. And then you have a cut or a heal, an injury, then your body has to take a small percentage of that to heal that. And if you can remove everything that it's having to deal with, like the EMFs and everything, like, and the mold, then it can solely focus on healing. So
That's
I
right.
won't even say so much that the quantum energy is assisting in speeding up. It's just allowing it's our natural state. If you go, let's say you go spend a week out in like Glacier National Park or somewhere like that, like where you're not around EMFs and stuff, like your body, that's the same thing. Like your body doesn't have these stress. You're gonna sleep better. You're calmer. Like your anxiety usually goes away. So it's
I
kind of
love
like
it.
you've created that environment and you're protecting yourself from everything. And again, so like with the different types of research we're doing, we see so many different ways again of benefits that we're still looking into it. Like one of the crazier things that we've done is with like the food allergies. And I was the person who originally started with that, is because our lead scientist, his name's Ian Mitchell, was like, oh yeah, when he was explaining these things to me, he's like, yeah, it's going to harmonize everything. And his way of describing it was that you have this like ocean, and on top you have the waves, and underneath it's calm, and what it's doing is it's kind of like wiping off that top aggressive layer and keeping everything smooth. So
That's good
I
stuff.
was like, okay, so it can harmonize everything. What can that do? So I'm not fatally, but I am severely allergic to crab, honey,
Mhm.
and avocado. And to the point where if I eat it immediately, it's about 8 hours of histamine and swelling and burning, and it's not fun at all. It's rough. And So I tried where I took crab and I put crab under the block that we have. So there's these basically it's a quantum energy
Right
generator that
there.
we
Yep.
have, and it's we've put it under there for about, I think I did like 5 or 6 minutes the first time, and just wanted to try it, and I ate some, and there was no negative effect, and I get it instantly whenever I have it. So again, there was something to this. Let's try this again. I try it, and no issue like the next day. And again, I'm fully also mindful of the power of placebo, and I'm thinking, well, maybe my body wants it so bad that it's not having a problem. So then I did a few times where my wife wouldn't tell me if it was under the block or not, and I would eat it, and I'd either have the reaction or not, which is always was mirrored what she had done. So if she put in the block, I wouldn't have a problem. And then if she didn't, I had a problem.
Yeah.
So we did this on stage at the Dave Asprey's biohacking conference in front of like a ton of people, and the only way we could like aesthetically show this was is we took a derma roller and we derma rolled my forearm and we put the crab meat on it, and it instantly flared up, looked like I had a ton of bee stings everywhere. It hurt. It was very painful. So what we did was is then after that is we took the crab and we put it under the block, and Ian and Philip were explaining to the crowd what's happening, the science behind all that. And then about, I think they did 6 minutes, they did my other arm and there was no reaction whatsoever. And so the
Man.
crowd could come up and look at it. And what was also really cool was my other arm that had the issue. I could put it under the block, and if I put it under the block, the bad sensation went away. Now visually, it was still there,
Yeah.
but all the itchiness went away, and that could be for many reasons. But one thing is what we see is when you have your anything exposed to it, your blood becomes more visceral. And as you know, like blood is pretty much the component to all healing. So if it's allowing blood to flow easier to that area, it kind of my theory to that is it takes away that pain. But if I took it out, it would kind of start to scratch again, and I could put it back in. So that's just a little, you know, side bit to
Still,
it. But
that's great because I
um,
think at one time when I talked with Philip, and he was talking about, like you just mentioned, that under like live microscopes, that the red blood cells, like they literally like would get less sticky. They were showing that they had like, in a
yeah.
sense, better viscosity, like they could flow
Yeah,
better,
it's
I
more
believe.
visceral. Yeah, it flows fat easier, and that's the component to all healing is you need blood flow to those areas so it can send things to it. And yeah,
Man,
and so, we did that and it was like, okay, there's something to it. And then some other people in the Telegram group, they tried it and they had the same response where it's like, oh, things that I'm sensitive to, I'm no longer sensitive to. So after enough people tried that, we did a third party test in Europe. And there's a little bit of the science that I don't understand, so I don't want to really misspeak the how or how they tested it. But I do know along the lines is that like when you eat something that you have an allergic response to, they can do a urine test,
yeah.
and there is a marker that comes up that shows, hey, yeah, you're allergic to that. You shouldn't be eating it. So, what they were able to do, again, these are double blind, placebo controlled. Um, Studies that they're doing, but then they're able to show that it was like a 92% reduction in stress of that food to your body. So that includes sugar, that includes like gluten, and any of that stuff. So it's still not something that if you have like a fatal reaction to these certain foods, you should not, we're still like, hey, don't do that. But if you're having like an irritating, a histamine response, we can at least show that it's a 92% suppression in the stress that it has on our body.
I agree. I think it was so amazing, brother, that I've had some patients have the device, the block, and they would, okay, coffee is really important to people. And I'm telling you, some people really hate giving up coffee. And they would tell me they put coffee in the block. And this is before I had one. And they're like, they were saying, well, maybe it's placebo, but I would check them with my analysis and I check their pulse points and such. And I got one, and they would do coffee, and they were like before, and then we stick it in there in the block. I know people think this is kind of crazy, but then they would drink it again, and all their heart points, all their spleen points, which can be reactive, stayed as calm as they could be, even on my scans with my little devices that measure electricity. And then I know you know this, but for people out there listening, I have one in my room here in the treatment room because I treat right here, brother. If you ever come in Nashville, I'll show you.
Mhm.
Like right here, I treat, and literally everybody that comes in, they go, I'm one of those mad scientist guy like you. I have papers everywhere, man. It's just like on one side, it's just sort of like a little bit of clutter, but they always say something in here is always making me calm. Like everything, like I am the most calm person when I come in here, and I don't know what it is, and I'm just like, dude, it has to be that because they were saying that after I got the device. So I'm gonna keep going, but so we had this balancing act.
Yeah.
So I want to talk a bit, and you can ship this into the way you want to, my man. But what about quantum energy and quantum entanglement? Is it too quick to jump into that? We've heard about like with this
Yeah.
term. I don't know what it is, but can you explain that? Yeah.
Yeah. Quantum entanglement is, again, if you've stayed with this long, this is another step. And with quantum entanglement, I have even a more, I mean, if you see my face, it's just crazy. Again, I can't use that word enough. Like quantum entanglement, the concept of it is even further out there, because I also think like once you see the research and when you see the things, it really truly almost makes you question the reality of what we know in existence, because it's like, how is that even possible? And so we'll go into quantum entanglement. And the exciting thing is that the Nobel Prize in Physics in 2022 was awarded on the research of quantum entanglement, and it is a baseline of physics. So when people look at like, okay, when they're about to hear all the things we're talking about, just remember that part of it. Like it's totally acknowledged. It's a baseline of everything, and the Nobel Prize was awarded on it. And quantum entanglement is basically that it's entangled. So you have two things that act as one, and
Oh,
it kind of brings out to the thing that that everything is oneness. If like ether, everything is connected,
yes.
and where we're going to get with this, I guess, is what we can talk about is the research that we have done. And this will just blow people's minds because, for example, Dr. Chris, you have that block right behind you.
Yep.
Now, and these are things that you can do with your patients. And these are things I do with my friends. We've been doing this for five plus years, is you can take a photo of your patient. Let's say your patient is, let's just say is in Germany. Okay,
Hmm.
so across the world, you can do all the measurements of everything you need on them when they're over there. You could put a kind of like the similar thing that we talked about before with the pre thing is we could then put a Wi-Fi router next to that patient and get all their biomarkers. And then this is the fascinating aspect of it. You can take a photo of your patient and
Hmm.
put it under the block that you have
Yep.
there at your office
Yep.
and measure the biomarkers of the person that is in Germany, and they will be pre-EMF exposure numbers, as if that block is over there in Germany, yet it is with you in Tennessee, in your office, and it's the same. And we can show this over and over. And at the same time, it's like,
Wow.
how is this possible? And it goes back to quantum entanglement, everything being oneness. And as long as there's, you have this quantum field, a lot of people do at least can subscribe to like Joe Dispenza, and he used that word a lot, the quantum field, and we're kind of like gaining access to that, and that's all a real thing. And you know, basically like quantum entanglement. Now, to use the word communicate is a little touchy, but it is faster. It basically communicates faster than the speed of light. And the only reason you could argue that is that there's no form of communication because it's so instant. So,
Yeah.
speed of light, there's a A to B, and there's a
Yep.
movement, right? But with quantum entanglement, it is instant. It's instantaneous. It doesn't matter the distance of part of the universe, and that's where again it. I understand how people can have a challenge of grasping that is because then it really does kind of like shift what is reality, in terms of there is just this mass consciousness that is everything is connected. We can see it with twins. It's like I have twins, and twins are an awesome science experience of nature versus nurture. But the same thing where like you can have, and you hear this story all the time, where it's like, oh, one twin could be across the country and hurts itself, and the other twin feels it instantly. Like even though it wasn't them, or it's like they did a
Yes.
study where they had one twin basically was like, tell that one twin to sit down, and the other one across the country sat down, like without even any communication. Like it's entanglement, right? So,
Truly.
and I'm just giving examples of things. This isn't research we've done. It's just stuff that you can see out there. Um, but again, for us, what we're doing is the research with this is the same as like having a block And we have, so Leela Quantum has a service, we call it Quantum Upgrade. And it is
Mhm.
a, we call it a digital service. And it's kind of easier for people to grasp that it's digital, but
Mhm.
reality is it's mechanical, like it's analog, which, is really cool, but it's all based off of quantum entanglement. And, so you don't technically have to, there are definitely a lot of benefits to still having a block and be able to charge things,
Mhm.
but you can also use quantum entanglement to benefit from certain frequencies and the pure quantum energy that pretty much is the baseline of all the products and services we have. But the cool add-on to that is when you can quantum entangly like send frequencies to people. So like prosperity, abundance, sleep. I mean, we have like almost 40 different frequencies that can be sent to people, and you don't have to have a tangible object. And that's where, the benefit of that is you're basically have access to the quantum field where this is all available to you at all times. And you don't need to have Wi-Fi, you don't have to have cell service because again, it's analog and it's not working off of the internet or
Wow.
service.
So
It's just,
it's just like it's present. So it would be,
mhm.
and this is a horrible analogy, but I'm just saying, it would be that it's all around us, and we just have to tap into it because it's always available around us. Oh wow! And didn't you? I think you told me at one point, like you talking about the twins, and they felt what we each other were doing. But we talked about like there were cells, like you've had like there's been experiments with like cells, like they would take cells and
Yeah.
they would like separate them. Could you explain that? That was really cool about
Yeah.
quantum entanglement. That's awesome.
So yeah, so I skipped all over that stuff. But that's kind of like part of like with the research that they did with the Nobel Prize was like if I remember correctly, they had like one cell that was in like Africa, and then they had another one that was in Canada. And again, these are entangled, so they're actually when they would like poke the cell in Africa without any with no disturbance of time. That's how they figured out that it is an instant thing. Um, the one in Canada was reacting to it. So it's I
Whoa.
think, but and again, it depends on how, like what kind of what you subscribe to. But it's the same thing as like our whole body. If someone pokes you on your finger, you feel it right away, like in your head and everything. It's kind of like it's instant. There's no like hesitation of timing, and that's why I said like it's technically faster than the speed of light, but it's not in, but it's a weird way it's a weird place to be because then you're looking at like communication because speed of light is point A to point B
Yep.
when entanglement is it's connected. So there is no A to B. It's just
Yes.
everything.
That's what
So
I love that the way you described it because to me, there's this one book, brother, that was called "The Web Has No Weaver," and it's a Chinese medicine book. But they would always describe that, like in the body, and I think as in the micro happens in the macro. It's like if you pressed a point in the body, like at the fascial system, electrical system, that in a reductionist scientific view, it'd be like, oh, you're just poking in the shoulder, and that's the only place that feels it. Where in the Chinese medicine world, it's like hit that point, it shifts the whole body feels an impression, like the whole body. And that's what it makes me feel like with the field is like it's not a matter of like even if it's Africa or here, you do one point and you press on one point, it's going to shift the whole field, and the whole field, like you just said, is feels it instantaneously. And I think
yeah.
to me it's so with this like quantum entanglement, frequencies are there to tap into, and you just can learn and have devices like to basically be able to tap into that whole field. That is amazing, my man.
Yeah,
Wow.
and that's where like, because for like the Leela Quantum products, we have cards. Because so everything at a baseline is going to
Yeah.
again neutralize the harmful effects that EMFs have on the body. How do we utilize that? Like I said before, is you and I having a conversation here. Like it doesn't block EMFs, so you can do Faraday cages. We do make EMF blocking clothing. We have hats. We actually have jackets. We have hoodies and all this different stuff, like which is great. But the goal is to be able to utilize again these technology
Yep.
without having the harmful effects. So we could do my biomarkers right now. Again, I have AirPods, I have Apple Watch, and everything else, and my biomarkers are as if there's no EMFs anywhere in my environment. So that's the key to all these things. And then on top of that, the different products we have, they are imprinted with different frequencies. So we have like necklaces that will have like the micronutrients. They have different specific frequencies added to them. Again, we have like cool little bracelets, and we have these frequency cards. And the frequency cards, which look like a little credit card, they have multiple different types of frequencies. You go on the website and you can choose which ones you want. And those are kind of putting those frequencies into your biofield. And then when you go with quantum upgrade, those are we have it's just like an online dashboard, and you can choose and you can change it as much as you want. You can change the intensity uh, of the frequencies and of the power of the pure quantum energy that is being available to you as well. And that's one thing where people like, if we have a free trial with that, and you can try it, you crank it up, which we don't recommend you doing. But sometimes, and I understand it, people, even if you don't get it, you can experience it. That's enough, right? So like if you crank up your quantum upgrade, the frequencies, like it's going to be intense for you. And
Yeah.
I remember Ben Greenfield, like a few years ago, we introduced him to this, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't really feel it," because we had it like 600, and I was like, "Yeah, I get it, like, because you're not really supposed to feel it. It's just supposed to be there and
Yeah.
not
That's it.
be too
Exactly. Yeah.
much." And so I cranked his up as he requested, and then I remember having like a text message from him at like 3 in the morning, and he's like, "Hey, bro, can you turn that off? Like, I haven't slept in 2 days." And he's like, "I get it. It works. I feel it. Like, can we pump it down a little?" And I was like, "Yeah, no problem," because
I
he's an
love it,
extremist
man.
anyways. But I remember being like, "Oh yeah, let's turn that down." And
That I could see him saying it
yeah,
too, Todd. Like, him
yeah.
saying, "I'm all right. I don't feel it."
Yeah, that's
So,
what I mean. For him, he needs to go 0 to 100 instantly. So, and
yeah,
it's not
yeah.
something we recommend. But I also, again, I understand that you just sometimes have to, if you can experience it and feel it, that's enough to at least get you a few steps ahead before, like, okay, well, I don't see things and I don't see these waves, but if you can actually feel it, that'll at least open your mind and be like, okay, yeah, there's definitely something to this, and then continue moving on. But like, again, we have these Telegram groups that are great because people get on there and they just talk about, like, and we don't control it, and we're not creating the conversation, but people are like, "Oh, I noticed this and I have this happen and this," and people are helping each other, like, "Oh, this is how I benefit from these things." And we have
I mean,
one thing, by the way, we just did is we created a new frequency called brain support.
mm,
And with this brain support, we're doing these like 256 channel EEG brain scans, which they don't even exist in the United States, because I don't want to say they're too high tech, but they just no one here has them. So when we did this in Germany, we saw an increase in alpha and theta brain wavelengths. And that is, again, like something, these are double blind placebo controlled studies, and we're showing that the people that have this in their biofield, that they're increasing their alpha and theta.
that is
And for
amazing because
people, for anyone that understand that, like, the alpha is an ideal place to be, or in terms of, like, it allows you to handle stress better, anxiety, you can retain more information,
mhm,
you're more,
mhm.
which we see this, right? So the exposure, all that stuff, it puts you into a parasympathetic state. So you have higher HRV, better sleep, and all these things. So it's like really cool to see what these frequencies actually do to people
Mhm, mhm,
and how you
and
benefit
you
from
have
them.
alpha and theta show changes, because I'm starting my mom on it with her neurological, and, we were just starting it, so I'll keep you posted on that, and it's funny because one of our good friends, Lindsay, said that, her husband was having chest pains, and on the quantum upgrade, set the frequency to the healing frequency, like,
Mhm.
at 60%, and his chest pains just basically went away, like, they went away, and he was, "Wow." So she changed the frequency the next day, and he said, "Hey, with what you were doing, because his chest pains came back." Because this is the next question, though. Too, I'm so intrigued by this, man. Um, so would that mean that if somebody had the healing frequency, or a theta frequency, or alpha frequency, when you tap into that, where the frequency is being generated in your biofield, is it because your biofield, your body, has forgotten how to tap into the field? I hope that's not too vague of a question. I'm
No,
not
that's a
butchering.
great question. Yeah, no, no, and I hope I can answer this right, because really one thing that, like, the founder also always says is that we all have access to this stuff. Like, you don't need these products, you don't need to have this, but it is, most people aren't in a place where they can access it, whether it's because
Yeah.
of stress or they're not
Yes.
present
Yes.
enough. And again, all these external environmental stressors we have kind of disconnect us from that. So again, is what it's doing is you're kind of just it's putting it right there in your biofield. But again, like yes, it's a luxury to have this stuff, but there are definitely people who we're not saying that everyone needs this to exist, but the majority of people do because it's like we can't like I'm not at the level in my life where I can just like snap my fingers and be like, okay, like my pure quantum energy is pure, like I'm clean and all that. Like it just doesn't work for me.
Yes, yeah.
But there are people who can because it is there. We just aren't accessing it. So that's the
Mhm.
same thing. It's also not forcing it onto you. So
Mm.
it's more just like you're creating this space where it is accessible to your body. So it puts it in your biofield. Um,
That's what I
and it's
love
the best
about
way I
it.
can describe that.
That really makes a lot of sense to me, especially like with being able to tap into it. I think that when you said you could put the frequencies of forgiveness or joy or happiness, it really hits home to me because it'd be that there are days when, we can go into the biochemistry of it, but your body somehow may forget how to access those emotions or access that biochemistry.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it, this is now like with the quantum upgrade, we're seeing now that you're able to find all the frequencies for healing. Now, one question I think people would ask, like within the quantum energy field, since it's like you're tapping into the field, the frequencies are pretty much endless, right? I mean, like it would be like for fixing the heart, fixing the lungs, fixing your emotions. Is that right? Like there'd be a endless amount of frequencies.
Well, for once the ones that we create, it is limited until it's not. Like we are constantly coming up with different frequencies for us, and that's putting it out there. I think if you're like for someone again who is out in yeah, let's say middle of Yosemite, again, and like is able to be present and meditate, like I think at that point you can create that stuff and have more accessible to like the gratitude,
Yeah.
the abundance, and the prosperity. But it's not something that we can like at this point and it's not that we can't, it's just that we continue to build our frequency list. Like quantum upgrade's been around for a little over 2 years, and at one time there was no frequencies at all, and then we're finding ways to create these frequencies.
Mm.
And then you have access to it, so like we've built it up to I believe we're almost at like 40 frequencies right now. But we're building and building, like the brain support is brand new. We work with a few of the UFC fighters, and we like 'cause that's the thing is like we're learning what people need. And like with UFC fighters right now, we have one that's like a brain support and a performance like Olympics. So it's kind of both, and it's really cool because we created that. We basically created that based off of like Misha Tate and working with her. It's like, what do
Wow.
you need as a UFC fighter in between rounds while you're out there? I want to be an alpha. I want to be in theta. I want to be able to be in a flow state while having these performance, we're seeing again ATP production increasing by like 29%. So it's like we're meshing frequencies together too, and it's like so that's where a benefit is with like athletes because like Misha doesn't have to have a nor could she have a necklace on when she's in the octagon, but like we're able to she can still have access to that biofield like while she's in there, and with that's with any other athletes too. So we're meshing frequencies and we're constantly grow and building that frequency list and options that we have.
That's really profound. Like with the devices, like I have the necklace, and I will say this to everybody out there that when I first put on the necklace, I remember Philip told me that you could have gentle detox mechanisms because there's something that your body is, especially with the nutrients. Like I definitely Todd like had that happen, and I put it on there, and I could tell. I'm pretty sensitive, but I could tell within 15 minutes I was like, "Whoa!" Like I'm shifting like internally in my heart and such. And I felt stuff coming out of my throat, down to my back of my throat, and I was like draining. And me, I have all these frequency machines. I'm checking like I had mycoplasma coming out. I had all these different things coming out of my body. I was like from that. So those devices, I'm really intrigued by the card about the small devices because I could totally see that happening. And where there's so the cards, I want people to get these things so that you can put the card in your wallet and like that would
Yeah, it's the
actually like
same size. Yeah, it's the same size as a credit card. So like you can go in
wow.
there. I always have like the sleep ones. Actually, I have them all over. So like if just in case anyone who's watching, like this is the size of it. It has like a mandala on it. And it's
I've got to get
just the
one of
same
those.
size.
Yes, I'm getting one
Yeah,
of
and
those.
I have a sleep one that we put in our bed, like under our pillows and stuff. So like
Oh,
we keep them. They have a range of about 3 to 6 feet, depending on which those do. So like they don't have to be on you, but they should be within 3 feet of you, like to kind of have that. And the necklace is the same thing. So always wear the necklace, and it
Yep.
it's going to protect you from where you're at. But one thing like with the detoxing, where I go back to this, and this is just, it's like it allows us to be in our natural state. So
Mhm.
when you have all these things going on, you can't detox because your body is, it's hyper focused on other things. It's protecting you from all this stuff. So it can't sit there and just be like, I can relax. But when it can go, I can relax, then it allows you to detox. It can do what it wants to do. It's the same thing when you're not eating, your body can do more. But as soon as you got food in you, it's got to stop what it's doing to focus on digestion, right? So it's the same thing. Like it's just kind of, it's allowing your body to take a break. And like so when you have the capsule necklace and stuff, like it's just protecting you so your body can go, okay, what do I got to do here? Let's just get rid of this. I don't want to get rid of that. And it's all beneficial for us. So it's kind of like it's allowing your body to do what it's without like it's allowing what's what it wants to do without having to like have a shield and look behind its corner all the time. It's like it can do what it needs to do without stress.
Oh man, I'm telling you, Todd, these are great combos. I'm gonna have to remind producer Chrissy to like we got to get the card because I had the necklace, my little chain accidentally. I have to tell you, I was taking my hat and I can't tell you the move, and it hit my chain, and I had to get like a new strap for my necklace. But I usually try to never go a day without it because it's really like I can tell my sleep's more calm and even like just more energetically I could feel like more at peace. And some people would say like, are you just feeling like peaceful? I was like, no, I know it's cleaning me out and I love, and I know it's not the claim up, but it does help me feel like I'm detoxing gently. So with
Yeah.
this,
Well,
like
it puts you
what,
in your natural state, right? So
yeah,
like that's why you're able to detox because it's
that's exactly
protecting
right.
you.
Like, I love the way you just said that. Like, there maybe something comes up. Well, I have to handle that, and then hopefully, when that goes settles down, I can go and go to the things that I need to fix. And now with this though, with the quantum upgrade, where do you see it going? Like, how do you see like the company? Like,
Yeah.
is it ever expanding? I mean, what would it be? The next steps?
Ooh, where's the next steps? There's so many things. There's the cool thing, like especially step back for would be the coolest thing for me would be with Alila Quantum would be if we could have like med beds and like full beds
Hmm.
that like that you could lay in and then you could like
Yes.
imprint frequencies into that. Like I always put that out there in case Philip's listening because like that's what we've been saying for years. It's like let's get a med bed, but cost and legitimacy or logistics of that would be like, ugh. But so what we're looking at in the future, like with quantum upgrade, is we're actually starting where we're able to, which would be something that you'd be familiar with, but we can like scan the body, see what the
Hmm.
body's missing, or what the body needs, and then we can create those frequencies on you and send those to you. So if we can do the test and see like what's going on, if you're deficient in certain things, if there's you need fascia release somewhere, like any of this type of stuff, then we could like create almost like a prescription for you of a recipe and be like, this is your frequency bundle that you need. That's going to help with the fascia release. It's going to help with the release of trauma. It's going to help you with forgiveness and like all these things that weigh heavy on us and be able to send it through entanglement and even on a card if we really wanted to and have the card with you. It's the same things you like frequency water. My wife works with a doctor who will do all these tests with her and then sends this water that's imprinted with frequencies, and it is crazy how well that works, and it's gonna be the same thing, but this will be entanglement. So in a way it's like across, it's all in the biofield, the quantum and the ether, or however you want to call it, but it's like that's where I see the future of this is able to be like, you do a scan on someone, see what's missing or what they're needing, what can help them, and then create the frequencies in a bundle and send those to people. And I think that's where like, I mean, if that's even, if, and I'm sure, with all this cool stuff, like that may even still not be the ceiling. Like there could be still things that we can't even think about of where you can benefit from it. But
Yes.
that's just kind of where I see it, where I get excited is like, how is it going to help people at that level?
I'm with you. I think that electronic medicine is something like one of my mentors. He used to tell me that he would formulate different microcurrents through a machine that could actually hopefully mimic mimic the frequency of like a vitamin, and people thought that was outlandish or crazy, but he was doing incredible work with their blood just by using
Yeah.
currents. And now this whole movement for, like you say, the entanglement, for the body being able to send frequencies to the body and allowing the biofield to basically vibrate or have a resonance with it. Oh, this is my mind blowing. So, okay. this is like something like as it keeps continuing to grow. If you do get the med bed, let me know. So when we if we with those kind of devices though, where can people go? I mean, what's the website that we can go to and the
Sure. So with
Instagram
Leela
feed?
Quantum, it's Leela, Leela. You can just put like Leela Q, like as in Q-tip. So it's
Hmm.
short for quantum, leelaQ.com. And then of course our Instagram, Leela Quantum. And then for the quantum entanglement, so that's quantum upgrade, and that is www.quantumupgrade.io. And
.io.
that'll take you there. And then same thing with our Instagram there is quantumupgrade.io, and those are places that people can go and see the content. Of course go to like see our website if you want to see all the research and stuff that we talked about. That's front and center. You just go, it's up top, it says research, click that. And then what I just advise people is to go check out, like I said, which we have in our social. So like on our Instagrams, you can go to
Hmm.
like the link in bio and then go to the Telegram group, because that's always the best, because it's not me there talking to you about it. Like you get to see thousands of people that, besides having our products, they're not connected with us in any other way besides having our products, talking about the benefits. And you can ask questions there, but you can also ask questions on our social media, and we'll answer those real quick too. So those are the best places to learn more and see all the products, because there are so many different products. We have baby beanies. We have coasters that are all charged with quantum energy, and then we have water bottles, which the Emoto Institute, which is really cool. So our water bottles that you can imprint with frequencies into the water. The Emoto Institute, most people know about Emoto, was the studies with putting words and imprinting them into the water and
Yes.
how the water
Yes.
froze. So
Yes.
they tested our water bottles, and they came back to us, and we are the only company that they are like, can we sell your products here at our institute? So they actually have them there to sell. It's the only product that they've ever worked with. And I'm a huge fan of like revitalized and structured water. It's a huge, huge focus of mine. I know that's a really big deal, because any other company I work with, that's not something they do. So they do that because you can imprint the frequencies into the water. And so that's what our water bottles do.
Hmm.
And we have just a wide variety of different things. And if any of that's ever confusing or overwhelming, just reach out to us, and we can help you if it's any confusion or what could benefit you best in your lifestyle and circumstances.
I am very intrigued, and I love the water bottle. It's amazing, and I use it, and I think that that to me, when you have beanies for babies, I don't say this lightly. I'm just saying, guys, everybody out there, before we sign off, I think it's really amazing that we all think that we're in a small part of the field, we're a small area, but we're like, no, you're in the field. Like the field is the information, and like when you start to grasp that, I don't think people out there like you help me see the light. That like a lot more information is clear. Like you're in this field, you just have to tap into that field. And man, I love this. As you get more new information, though, Todd, let me know and jump back on here with me, because this is, to me, frequency medicine or and quantum healing is just something I'm just so intrigued with. So, man, thank you so much for joining me today. I really mean it, man. Thank
Yeah,
you. And
absolutely.
man, and we're gonna do we're guys, everybody out there, we're gonna. I mean, Todd and I are gonna do it in person. Hopefully, I'll see him down in Florida too at some point. And if you guys love this information, which I do,
I
send
do.
it to anybody that may wonder about this, because Todd was like first a skeptic. So you have any skeptics in your life, send this to them. And like and subscribe. It's something that you like. And always remember to hit the little bell so you get reminded when a new episode's out. So Todd, what's up for you? What's coming up? I like to ask my guest a couple quick questions that are fun questions though. Is it all right?
Yeah, let's go for it. I like
Okay.
these, especially when I have no idea what they're going to be. So
No, they're not. They're not crazy. What?
I
Okay,
love it.
so what would be something that somebody would not necessarily know about you, as in like a good hobby you like to do, something that people think, oh wow, Todd, I saw him, skydiving the other day on Instagram or something. What's something that you would do?
Yeah, that's a good question. It really changed. Like the things that most people are surprised about me is, for one thing is I was an ice sculptor for about 10 years, and I've done like
What?
the most lavish ice sculptures. I've built the largest ice sculpture in the world. And it was a interesting thing I did. And then I went into running 100 to 200 mile ultra marathons, and which has also kind of got me into this whole like, I'll call it biohacking or any of that stuff. Back then it was more biohacking and getting into that stuff. But
Dude, you're like the
nowadays
most
I'm just
interesting man.
really nowadays though, it's more like I appreciate my peace and being focused on my breath work, because I always tell people one of the most important things in your life, it could be, is this: the breath is the remote to the brain. So
Hmm.
exactly how we breathe tells our rest of our body exactly how to respond. And it is the most powerful thing to be able to just have control of your emotion, reaction, everything through that. So like that's where I guess where what I spend my time doing now is this, like having a nice peaceful life and
That's
helping people. So
ultra marathons, ice coach. Seriously, okay. Second question. Like, man, that's amazing. I didn't know that about you. We'll have to talk about the ultra marathon. I used to run marathon stuff and such. What about your favorite music? What's your favorite music?
Hmm. Man, honestly, so I grew up in Texas, so I will have to say probably like late '90s country music.
Okay.
I love Kenny Chesney and Clint Black. That stuff makes me happy. Like music is really important to me, because the same thing with the breath. Like it can really just give you a crazy boost of energy, especially in the running. I learned that. So music is powerful. I like very positive music. And country just makes me happy, but then I'll listen to anything. But that's just a good positive, like authentic music.
Oh, I love it, man. Same. I always have these different I don't like anything dark or too heavy as well. So, man, this has been good. I really appreciate it. And for everybody out there that's wondering about quantum energy and quantum entanglement and quantum upgrade, please let us know. And we'll have all the show notes in the caption. And you guys will have all the links to get to Todd and to Lila Quantum. And they've been such gracious sponsors with us. And I'm just so thankful for you and Philip, man. I really appreciate it for coming on and explaining more. So we'll have you on again. We're going to be talking about more advancements. Man, I didn't know you were an ice sculptor and you're an ultra marathoner. This is, guys, okay. You learn something new every day. So, guys, until the next time, from Todd and I, thank you so much for joining us from the Ancient Health Podcast. Take it easy, everybody.